getting the show on the road here. I want to welcome you all. This is the first of 3 presentations that we're going to be giving. The next 2 are going to be on the 22nd in Buckland and the 24th the 22nd in Plainfield and the 24th in Buckland. So anybody that you know that was not able to make tonight's presentation, let them know that those other 2 nights are available. So my name is Jim Cutler, and I am the solar coach for Ashfield, and along with my fellow coaches, Tim Walter, Plainfield, Ellen Kaufman, and Brian Summer of Buckland, would like to express our appreciation for the high level of interest that you all have expressed for this opportunity to bring the benefits of solar energy to our communities. This all began when Tim Walter approached the towns of Buckland and Ashfield to join Plainfield in applying for this program, which we were successful in winning. Now, our first task was to choose the company to perform the installations, and this took the form of 2 selection processes involving a total of 9 different installation companies, several of which were local to this region. The selection committee also included numerous other volunteers from each town who collectively possess an impressive set of credentials for this effort. I am proud to say that after considerable research, meetings, discussions, lunch meetings at Elmer's, conference calls, more lunch meetings at Elmer's, and many other important get-togethers, we were finally able to select Direct Energy Solar by a unanimous vote. Every single one of us could not be happier with this choice. All of these companies were excellent. As I said, some of them were local, but in the end, the criteria for us that was important is the ability of the company to have the necessary bandwidth, because there are a lot of you out there that have expressed an interest in getting solar, and that they have the reputation, the experience, and the positive feedback from all of the many installations they have done. So we are dealing with a very experienced group of people who have come out here very quickly and in force to begin this process of talking to you, getting to your site, and doing the evaluation. So we could not be happier. As you know, our 3 towns are facing some difficult choices regarding our energy future. And I know that I speak for everyone working on this project that we are exceedingly grateful that solar is one of them. So now I would like to introduce Kelsey Reed and Elizabeth Youngblood, who are from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, who will talk a little bit about the history of the Solarize program, followed by Direct Energy Solar's presentation. Thank you very much.
Get claps when I walk into a room, so thank you, I appreciate it. My name is Elizabeth Youngblood, and I am a project manager on the solar team at the Mass Clean Energy Center. Before I begin, I was just wondering, who here is from Ashfield? Okay, that's most everybody. Buckland? Couple, great. Plainfield? Okay, excellent. We've got a good range here. I really wanted to just take a moment and say thank you to the Solarize PAB team, our Plainfield, Ashfield, Buckland team, for inviting us out to speak. We know that this is a lot of work to put on these events, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come here and kind of be face-to-face with you, so I really appreciate it. This is the agenda. We're going to talk, Mass Clean Energy Center, we're going to talk about residential growth of solar in the state, the Solarize Mass program, and installer selection. Very quick, a little bit about the Mass Clean Energy Center. We are a quasi-state agency. We are created by an act of legislation, but we get our funding from Systems Benefit Charge on electric ratepayer bills. So and that goes into what's called the Renewable Energy Trust. And with those funds, we have a number of programs that we administer. Our sole task is to grow the clean energy economy in Massachusetts. We do this in a number of different ways. We have an investments team, which provides venture capital funds to startup companies, many of which come out of our state universities. We also have an innovation and industry support team that is working on workforce development. They also put out an annual report on the industry to see see where we're growing and what do we need to continue to grow. And we also have what's called our renewable energy generation team, which is the team that I am a member of. And we're really focused on deployment of commercially available technologies. So this is wind, solar photovoltaics, or solar PV, solar hot water, air source heat pumps, biomass, geothermal, and other technologies. And we've been administering the Solarize Massachusetts program since 2011. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So again, we're very excited to be here. Solar PV basics. We've got 2 roof-mounted systems, and in the middle is a pole-mounted system. I'm just going to take a step back and just talk about energy in general. Wow, you can't really see it on the screen here, but there is a little blurb right here that represents the total energy consumption in the world every year, and it's 16 terawatt years of energy. And then all the way over to the left, actually I think sometimes did it 4 times, maybe 5. There we go. There you go, okay. All the way to the left are the total amount of non-renewable resources that are available in the world that we are aware of. And that includes coal, uranium, petroleum, that little spheres, and more, natural gas. Those are the total non-renewable resources. Here are the renewable energy resources. This is focused on 1 year worth of energy that we know of. So wind, waves, ocean thermal, energy current, biomass, hydro, geothermal, tides. And then you've got the sun, which provides us with a tremendous amount of energy. We know this. We need it to grow our food, and many of these non-renewable resources actually originally came from the sun, except for the uranium. So the sun is a tremendous resource. Every 40 minutes, there's more energy that hits the earth than is consumed in a given year, and it's really just a matter of capturing that energy in a way that we can use it. So one of the questions that we receive often is, well, that's great that there's a lot of sun to make the earth, but what about in Massachusetts? Do we have enough sun to make solar a viable option? And the answer is yes. We're not the Southwest, we're not a bright red color in the solar radiation map, but we are in the middle. If you look at Germany in the lower right-hand corner, it actually gets less resource than anywhere in the United States, including Alaska. And they are one of the countries that installs, the most solar in the world. So we like to say if they can do it, we can do it as well. Massachusetts also has very high electricity prices. This is from a couple years ago, but we're 9th in the nation. Many of the other countries, states that are in the New England area are also in the same boat as us. We don't have a lot of natural resources that are in our backyards. We don't have coal-fired power plants, or we don't have a coal resource or oil right in our backyard. We do have to, pipe in some of that energy from pretty far away. Over the past 20 years, the average cost of electricity has gone up about 3% per year. And as I'm sure many of you know, that isn't exactly the same every year. It can go up or down. There was a bit of a dip, which again, you can't quite see all of it, but it did dip down a few years ago due in part to natural gas cracking. But it has gone up since then, which I'm sure many of you have seen in your electric bills. This is a graphic looking at solar electricity prices in the state. The red line is looking at how costs have gone down over the past several years. When I joined the industry in 2009, the average cost per watt was about $8 a watt. And we'll talk about what dollar per watt means, but you can just see, $8 a watt. Now the average price in the state is around $5 a watt. So that's about a 40% decrease over the past several years. The green bars are showing the number of systems that have been installed in the state. This is residential small-scale systems. So, we've seen a tremendous increase in the number of systems. Even in the last year, for 2014, we saw about 7,000 systems installed. So we're actually at about 22,000 systems in the state, which is really exciting. I think you'll miss a little on one side or the other. So, well, we'll just kind of switch with verbally. So no worries. So this is another way of looking at this adoption in the state. This is from 2006. The yellow dots represent solar PV installations. And this is it's Massachusetts in 2014. Back in 2006, there was about 6 megawatts of solar in the state. Currently, there's around 850 megawatts. Back then there was about, we were in the hundreds of systems, and now, as I mentioned, residential itself is around 22,000 systems. So we've seen a tremendous increase in solar in the state. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Solarize Massachusetts program. As I mentioned before, we've been administering this program since 2011. We piloted it in 4 communities, including Ashfield, Massachusetts, which is a neighbor, fairly close. We have partnered with, completed the program in 46 communities. We're partnered with 5 right now, including Plainfield, Ashfield, and Buckland. But within those 46 communities, we have seen about 2,400 contracts, systems being contracted through the program for about a little under 16 megawatts of capacity. So I find that really exciting, in part because there's 850 megawatts in the state, and the 16 megawatts are all comprised of relatively small residential scale systems. So it's amazing to see how communities can come together and through a large number of small systems install 16 megawatts, which is great. Yeah, I think that's about it. So it's pretty dispersed across the state. We have Provincetown all the way up to Williamsburg, so it's from tip to tip, if you will. So what is Solarize Mass? I'm sure you're asking yourself. It is a community outreach and education program where the community and the Mass Clean Energy Center and Department of Energy Resources come together, and we competitively select a single installer who offers reduced pricing. And the more people who contract to go solar, the lower the prices for everybody. Some of the goals of the program, first and foremost, is to increase education through community outreach. This is a great example. The fact that you came out on a beautiful evening to come learn about solar is fantastic. Introducing this model to simplify the process. There is a single installer that is selected. Reduced time to contract. I've heard that on average it may take someone 1 to 3 years to go through the process of going solar. I've had people come up to me and say it's been 10 years I've been interested. It can take a long time to kind of go through that process. Because the model, it does simplify the process, it is actually a reduced time frame to contract. This is a 6-month program. The program does go through September 30th, so you need to contract by that time. It reduces installation costs. Over the past 3 rounds of the program, the average savings compared to the market is about 20%. We've calculated that every time, and it does equate to about that every time. And then increased adoption. As you'll see in just a minute, most communities that participate in the Solarize program do double the amount of solar, residential scale solar they have in their community. So this is another way of looking at the Solarize Mass model. To the left is the installation of, you're going to remember this morning, just keep going. I'm going to get this over to you after this, because my colleague Kelsey asked if you could present in front of the crowd, and you guys seem like you're really excited, so I will hand it out to him after this. Great. So the goals of the program is, this is the standard cost stack for installation of the solar system. You do have the installation cost, which is basically the cost of bringing the crew to the site and installing the system. You have the sales piece, that's the marketing and customer acquisition, soft costs such as permitting, getting that electrical and building permit, utility interconnection, and any other paperwork, and then the equipment costs of buying the panels and inverter and balancing system. Solarize Mass, it crunches that cost stack, so there'll be many installations in these 3 towns, so the installer can be doing multiple things at once. Really, the customer marketing and acquisition costs are greatly reduced, in part because there's a lot of outreach and education that is occurring through this program, and many leads get passed to the installer. Soft costs are also reduced. They'll have a lot of experience being able to submit permits. They'll know the process, and they'll be able to expedite that and minimize any errors there. And then the equipment costs. They'll be able to buy it in bulk and be able to pass all those costs on to the residents. I've had a couple of people come up to me and they said, this is like a solar Groupon. And, I don't really like Groupon, and I'm not sure if you guys do either, but, it's kind of a way of thinking about it, if you will. So I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Kelsey Reed, and for the last handful of slides. Kelsey?
Thank you, Elizabeth. So as mentioned, I'm Kelsey Reed. I'm also a project manager at the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. So just to start, what I'm going to look at is this is the partnership that forms the Solarize program. And it's there's a few pieces there: community, Mass CEC, the installer, and of course the homeowner. This just gets at kind of the different roles that everyone faces. Mass CEC serves as an organizational partner in this, helping to release RFPs, engage with consultants that can help out in the process, education, marketing materials, things of that nature. The installer is a partner and serves as the technical resource. They'll be the ones working with customers, offering site assessments, offering the pricing and the ownership models. And then the big and the really important one, and the one that we're very grateful for, is the community and the volunteers there. And they are involved in basically every step and are the one that really help serve, in the end, the homeowners, the ones that are hopefully getting a deal and enjoying this program. So just as basics of the Solarize model, this year we're working with 5 communities, and we go through, as Jim mentioned, a competitive installer selection process that wound up partnering with Direct Energy Solar, and I'll speak a little more on the details of that. And then the big piece is the tiered pricing. So what this means, and Direct Energy will speak to this with specifics, but based on the capacity that the towns end up contracting under the program, everyone gets a better deal in the end. So as you reach higher and higher tiers with more kilowatts contracted, and you can see the average number of systems that might be, everyone gets a better price. And then the fourth kind of tenet is that it's a limited time program. So the final deadline for contracts for you guys is September 30th of this year. And this is just a little look at what this program has done in the past. This is the 46 communities, and you can see the red is the capacity they all had installed prior to joining the program. The blue is what was installed during the program. And what we have seen is that essentially through that work of the outreach team and the effort they put in, and of course homeowners signing up, 38 of the 46 communities we have worked with have doubled their capacity, which is an excellent record. And then, as again mentioned, we've seen savings under these programs of 20% compared to the average market cost at the start. So the selection process that Jim touched on, we kind of work with, the Mass CEC works with the community to find the right partner that will fit that community. And we start that by releasing a request for proposals to the installer industry throughout the state. And we give those proposals a threshold review to kind of make sure they meet a few specific requirements that we have for participation in the program. One being there's an experience qualification. They have to have a certain number of systems installed within Massachusetts. They also have to demonstrate meeting certain technical requirements. Meeting equipment standards, the equipment they have to offer has to be on some pre-specified lists by Underwriters Lab, things of that nature. And there's required warranties that they have to offer. You can see them here, but it's 20 years on the panels and 5-year workmanship that are the minimum we require. And then what we do is we work with the community, and they evaluate these proposals based on a number of features and what's of value to them. The pricing that's being offered, the customer service being described, and the customer service record of the company. Jim touched on this, but the ability to serve the community through this program, we know there's a lot of interested people, and the ability to serve everyone that comes in a rapid and efficient and friendly manner. The experience and reputation of the company, the quality of the equipment and the various packages that they're offering, and finally kind of the ownership and financing options that they may be available. So the installers the community looks through all this for the installers they get proposals for and picks the one that they think will best serve the community, and we're here at Direct Energy Solar. So at this point we're going to turn it over to Direct Energy Solar for their bit. Next step for homeowners is sign up for a site assessment, and they'll speak to that and encourage you to do the same. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to the Mass CEC or any of the solar coaches as mentioned. They certainly can be. They're not currently, but we can make them available, and a recording of them will also be saved to the website by Solar Coaches. I think we might do kind of the main questions at the end, so we'll just give Jeff a chance to speak, just to make sure we get through everything.
And I just want to make sure that you will stay around. If there's any questions that I can't answer, I'm turning them over. Hi. That's good. I got one hi here. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Troy.
Hi, how are you? My name is Troy. I am a regional sales manager for Direct Energy Solar. I'm going to go through some different things for you tonight. I know that there's going to be a lot of questions, and we are here to answer them. So near the end, we will go through that. I want to first start by just introducing a couple of people who are here with me. Jill, go ahead and stand up. The director of slideshow presentations for our company, and also actually her real title is Director of Community Programs within the state. Jill is a huge asset to what we do. Ran the Conquer Solar Challenge and was a solar coach there. Fantastic job that she did with that. Great partner. Thank you. Joe in the back. These are consultants. These are going to be some of the people who will come and sit down with you, go over all the financials, go over the design for your home. At the end, they're going to stick around so you can talk to them afterwards and any questions you have. Kyle? Duncan? And Gary. So, as we go through, just a little bit of a history as to Direct Energy Solar. Prior to April 1st of this year, we were called Ashfield Solar. Elizabeth had talked about the number of community programs that were done in the state and the installations. We've had the privilege through Astrom of being involved with a number of them. I think that currently we're around 900 of those 2,400 contracts that were sold through the state. So we have a huge history of doing the community programs and, in my opinion, doing them pretty well. So if I stumble through it and I accidentally say Ashton Solar at some point, you can throw something at me or just let me know that I messed that up. Background to our company is when we started small in Maryland. We wanted to make it easy for everybody. There are a lot of questions, a lot of different things that go on. If you just look up on the web how to go solar, you're going to get a number of different answers, a number of options, and you usually end up with more questions than you do when you start. So we wanted to make it easy for everyone who came through a system for us. We want to bring objectivity and facts to it, so we want to give you we want to sit down with you and go through it like we would a family member, like we would want to be treated. And we want to give you the ability to pick the best option that works for you. We have it, and everybody that you will contact is a Direct Energy employee. So we do not sub out any work that we do, from the first person you talk to the end when we install, and we're there afterwards. It's all Direct Energy. We wanted to be built on word of mouth. There's nothing better than to have one of you go solar with us and to refer somebody else to go solar as well. That's what we wanted to be built on. Direct Energy has 6 million ongoing customers. There are a number of facets to what we do in the business. There's home warranty, HVAC side to it. We're the solar arm to the company. But what that means for you is that we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for a long time, a lot of stability within what we do as a company. Jim mentioned this at the beginning, that when the selection process went through, that you looked at a bunch of local companies. We feel we're a local company. We have over 150 Massachusetts residents that work here, and that feel that you still get from a local company, you will get from us as well. Direct Energy's motto is simple, friendly, and direct. That's what we aim to do. Right now, solar is very popular. A lot of people are going that direction. Why is it that they're going solar? Number of reasons. These are the top reasons that people are going solar. You Utility rates are rising. Has anyone else noticed that that has been happening over the past couple of years? Okay. Yesterday, Garrett and I got to sit down with Nat and Ann in their place, and we talked a little bit about this. And I don't know if any of you have looked at your utility bill lately, but there was a charge on there that I had never seen before. It was storm surcharge, storm recovery. So every single time that you pay your utility bill, you're funding whatever the storm recovery is. Not sure exactly what this. Anyone know what that is? Do you know what that is? You guys are paying for a storm recovery. I don't know what storm it was, but you're paying for that.
It's probably the infrastructure repairs from the ice storm we had still.
Yeah. So there are a number of charges that you have on your utility bill. It's been rising, and I don't think it's going to go the other direction anytime soon. A lot of people just go because they want to save money off of it. They just need some breathing. They want, give me some relief off of that bill that's coming every single month. Right now there are fantastic financial incentives. We'll get into that a little bit later, but there are a number of advantages that you can do by going solar. The environmental impact. A lot of people do it just because they want to be more green, reduce their carbon footprint. Control and predictability. This goes back to the utility rates. They want to be in control of what they're doing. To be able to limit the amount of inflation that can go within their electricity bill, and they want to bring some sort of predictability back into something that you pay every single month. Going solar will increase your property value, and we'll get into that. And most important out of everything, it's cool. Okay. Usually I throw things in during the presentation just to make sure that you are paying attention to it. I limited the amount of times because the last time that I did this, no one laughed. And it was just me and basically Elizabeth laughing at stuff that I had included into my slide presentation, so I'm going to limit it to that. But does anybody know what this is other than Elizabeth? It's a snow, yeah, it's a tauntaun. It is a snowman tauntaun. That is, any Star Wars fans? There's a little boy on there.
Second Star Wars movie.
Yes, exactly.
Episode 5.
Episode 5 of Star Wars. Thank you. Yes.
Do you want more?
Maybe later. When we get to that portion, we can have, after we talk through solar, let's discuss the next Star Wars movie that's coming out that I'm pretty excited about. And I know Elizabeth is too. Go ahead. Quick agenda. We're just going to go through how solar works, how we design your system, some of the financial benefits, talk a little bit about the program details, and then the Q&A at the end. Big picture from a higher level of how solar works is that you have these panels on your roof. It is capturing sunlight. At that point, it is in DC electric, just like a battery. It needs to be converted over into AC so that it can be used in the house. The way that this is done is through an inverter. And we'll talk through a little bit later the differences between that. I'm not going to get too much into it. If somebody wants to get real technical with it, that can be a question afterwards. And I'm sure these guys would love to talk to you about the differences in inverters. What is happening though is that you are generating during the day. Typically, you're generating more than what you're consuming. So the electricity has to go somewhere of what you're generating. A certain amount goes into your house, and it feeds into what is running constantly. Your refrigerator is always on. For the most part, your router is on. That excess, though, is the part that is not used is backfed onto the grid. You will get a new meter, and the meter runs backwards. So then in the evening when you come home and the system is not generating and you're pulling off of the grid, it is using what you've banked onto your meter. And this happens day after day where you're producing and consuming. So at the end of the month, you're going to have one of two things, either a reduced electricity bill, or you might have a credit where you've actually produced more in a month than what you've consumed. At that point, it just stays on the meter and that will roll forward into the next month when you need it. And that graph, which I'm sure that only a handful of you up front can see, but that just shows that at some points in the year, we get more sunlight than we do at other points. So you're going to generate much more during the spring and the summer than you would during the winter. Designing your system. For most of you, can I just see a show of hands? How many of you have already signed up through one of the sign-up sheets and been contacted by our home office? Okay, good. So that's about half of you. How many have signed up for it but have not been contacted? So those of you who haven't been contacted yet, afterwards, I want you to come and see Jill, and we just want to make sure that you're contacted within the next couple of days. All right? If any of you have not signed up for this, I know you might have signed up when you came here, but we have these little half sheets of paper, and the guys will have these available. This is to sign up for a site evaluation. So if you need one after we're done, make sure that you see one of them and fill this out. The site evaluation is free. There's no obligation to it, and we're just going to come out and we're going to take a look at the location and build a system for you, and then go over the financials afterwards. But typically what will happen, if you sign up through one of the other options, you'll get a call from our qualification team. Qualification team, what they're just looking for is that they're seeing, is solar viable in your location? If you live in the middle of the woods and you are surrounded by trees, you might not be able to go solar because you don't get enough sunlight on your roof. If you want to start doing some different things, maybe look for a ground mount or cut down some of those trees, that might be an option. But typically this will be the first person that you talk to, and they're going to set up a sales visit for you. The sales visit will be when one of our guys comes out and goes over the program details. The next portion of what we do is that we come out and we will have somebody who will take a look at the roof. And they're going to measure how much sunlight actually hits all of the roof, and they'll also look, if you want them to, they'll look in the yard to see if that's an option. They take that and create a system design, which is then sent to one of our consultants, who will then follow up afterwards and sit down and go over all the details, answer any questions that you have, and give you the next steps. This is just a little bit of information of what homes are best for solar. Anything facing to the south gets more sunlight during the course of an average year. But we will install for roof surfaces that face anywhere from east through west. We do not typically install on the north side of a roof just because of how we, or where we are on the globe. You do not get a lot of sunlight on that side. Things that we look for and will have an impact on it for you: trees, chimney, roof vents, dormers, different things that create shade onto a roof. When the guys come out, they will get on your roof and actually take measurements of how much sunlight hits it, and it'll produce a picture that looks like this. And what they're able to do is to look at all of these things, which the dimensions of the roof, any obstructions that you have, any shading, and they'll check out the roof condition. They'll also be able to do is to analyze for a full year and take weather into account for it. So we already take into knowing that we're going to get rain and we're going to get a certain amount of snow around here. This is what will then happen from the picture, is that we put this into it, and the yellow will show sunlight and the green is showing where we're getting shade from. If you can see this, you can see right through here the different months and the time of day. So we're actually able to, in most parts, being able to look at it and say, all right, what if we take down that tree? What will be the impact of what we do? Main course for this is that satellite imaging can miss a lot, and what we want to be able to do is to get to your roof and take the actual measurements. From that, we will create a system design, and we'll be able to say to you, we can put panels on all of, here, we can put it on here, and we can actually show you these S numbers. That's where we've taken the measurements, and we can say, on an average year, at this location, you're going to get this amount of sunlight. And also, if you're up here, where you have this chimney shading, and you also have shading from this higher level roof, you're going to get this much sunlight. What this customer was able to do, though, is to pick specifically where they wanted the panels. They worked with a consultant to find out what was the best thing for them. Once they did, they picked this layout, and they customized it to what they wanted to do. Some of the financial benefits. We are starting through this, and there's a pricing model. So as you get to more and more people sign up, the better the pricing gets for everyone. Typically what we do is we are very confident in how many people will sign up and how many systems will get installed. And we start at tier 3, very confident that we know that we're going to get there. And I don't think that we've been in any program that hasn't gone to tier 5. Fortunately, we just went through a technology upgrade in our systems, and right now all our proposals are starting at tier 1. But just so that you know, we are very confident we are going to get all the way to tier 5 with it, and as soon as the system is updated a little bit more, we'll jump to that part. So I'm not an IT guy. I'd like to rough up a couple of IT guys right about now because they just implemented the changes, but that's where we're at. And I think that there are a couple other guys who work with me who would like to do the same. The most important thing, too, is that the first 20 people who sign up get an extra $500 cash back. And right now we are at 1 that is there, and I think that we're pretty close. We're number 2. I'll confidently say that we're very close with that. So if you have a question about that, make sure that you just talk to one of us afterwards. So a lot of bullet points on here. Jill made this slide, by the way. I mean, there are bullet points. Oh, okay. What this will tell you here, though, and we will be able to send this out so that you can look through it. These are all the things that come with every single system. High-quality panels, panel level optimization. Basically, what that means is that if you have shade on one panel, it's only impacting that one panel. There's 25-year manufacturer warranties on the panels and a 12-year on the central inverter. I'll come back to that. Okay, so when we get into the Q&A, remind me to go over the inverter size. 120 days, we are guaranteeing that we're going to install and have this ready to go for you within 120 days, or we will pay you, basically start paying your utility bill after that, until the system is in operation. You will be able to look at it and monitor the performance of your system. Every system starts out with a 10-year manufacturer warranty, or a 25-year manufacturer warranty on the panels, but we also include a 10-year parts and labor warranty. It's basically a double coverage, but we guarantee that. So if something goes wrong, we come out and fix it for free. This SREC management, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And after the system is done, you still have customer care. So what that means is that we're here for the long haul with you. From the beginning to the end, and if anything happens afterwards, we have a department that is specifically there to address any needs that you have. We also have a couple of adders that you can go through. There's a little bit larger size panel that produces a little bit more that you can go with. You can go with a different kind of inverter so that switching from DC to AC, you can do a little bit different with that. A production guarantee. So we're guaranteeing the production of your system, but there's an enhanced one, and there's some extended warranties that you have. These adders within here, if you have a flat roof, it typically has a rubber membrane roof, we can install on that. We can do ground-mounted systems. And a lot of systems that we install with, there's structural analysis that is done on every single one of them. A number of them need to have reinforcements within the roof, and that's part of what we do as well. Some of the financial benefits for you. Every system that is installed in the U.S. is eligible for a 30% federal tax credit. It's not a deduction, it's an actual credit, and that is uncapped. So regardless of, go ahead.
Hasn't that federal tax credit come to an end?
Yes. So the question was, does the federal tax credit come to an end? It is set to expire at the end of 2016.
Well, it's this year.
2016, so next year, the end of next year. So there is some urgency for you to be able to, it's perfect timing for you with a lot of these incentives to do solar right now, and that's going on. Yep.
Question. Where are these solar panels manufactured?
I'll answer. The question was where the solar panels manufactured, and that will be part of what we'll cover at the end. But to answer your question, there are two options that you have with the solar panels. There's the one that's manufactured in the U.S., and then we also have one that's an imported panel.
Imported.
Germany. So they're Q-cells, which are manufactured in Germany. The parent company that owns them is from Taiwan. You have a 15% state tax credit, and that is capped at $1,000. I'll jump ahead here. Net metering, which we discussed already, which that's the concept of you can, if you overproduce, it goes back onto the grid and your meter runs backwards. Taxable side to it, this does not increase your property tax, and there are no sales tax associated with solar. Has anyone ever... Okay, gotcha. Solar renewable energy credits. Who here has heard of this? It's good. A lot of people. Okay, I don't have to explain it then. No, but what this is that part of the reason that solar is so attractive in the state of Massachusetts is this program. Solar renewable energy credits, or SRECs. You get one per 1,000 kilowatt hours that you generate. You will receive these payment on them for the first 10 years. Right now they are selling someplace between $180 to $270. I think actually recently it sold a little bit higher than that. I think it was close to $280. But what this is that you are basically paid a second time for the environmental benefit of going solar. You save on the electricity, but you also are paid this. It's the green credit given to the utility companies purchase from you. We'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into it. Go ahead. 3 different options for you to take. You can purchase a system. If you purchase a system, you're buying it outright, so that all of the cost is at the beginning. You have no further payments on it. You get the tax credits, and those renewable energy credits belong to you. And with this, over the course of time, this is where you're going to get the most savings. It's the best value for you. You own it, you are going to make more. We also have 2 options that allow you to do it with nothing out of pocket. There's a loan option and a lease option. Neither one of them has upfront costs. Both have monthly payments. With a loan, you still own the system at the end of the loan. So you get the tax credits and you get the SRECs. And with this, you'll still get a substantial amount of savings, but you are borrowing money in order to do this. With the lease, you have monthly payments, the tax credits, and the SRECs go to the third party, which is the leasing company. And with this, the beauty of it is that right away you just start saving money from the outset. It reduces the amount that you're paying for electricity, and you get savings over the course of time. The experience for you is that once you go through this and you sit down with one of the guys and you factor in, all right, this is what I want to do, this is the direction that I want to go. The next person that you will talk to is a project manager. The project manager leads you through the entire rest of what you're going to do. They take care of the paperwork, the permitting, everything that you have to do within the town. Structural analysis is done. They will walk you through that. This portion to it usually takes a couple of months. Next step to it is the installation. This is the easiest part for us. It usually takes a couple of days. We go there, our crews will install the system, they test it, and the system works at that time, but you're not allowed to turn it on. Your project manager then goes back to the town and to the utility, and it's inspected, and at that point, the system is allowed to be turned on. And I think at the end, okay, that's what it is, the power up there afterwards. A little bit of the details, and just some common questions that this typically comes up every time that we talk. What happens when it snows? Anybody want to guess at what that is?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
Nothing. The snow actually slides off of the panels. The panels will accelerate the rate at which snow will come off the surface that it's on. The panels they're tempered glass, just like your car windshield, so if it heats up at all, the snow will melt off and slide off. It snows around here every once in a while.
But you need sunlight, and it doesn't work with this snow.
Correct. Yes, you do need sunlight. It's just the light rays will pass through the snow, and that's what will create the heat that goes through it. What happens when the power goes out? Who wants to answer that? That's right, the system shuts off. It's not going to continue to work when the grid goes down. It's for a safety of everyone working on it, but it automatically shuts off. Can you have solar and a generator in the same location? Yes. So this is the most cost-effective way to handle this, is that when the power goes out, you can just flip over to the generator and have it. What happens when I sell my home? Thoughts? What does anybody think of that?
It's going to depend on whether or not you bought it outright, got a loan, or got lease.
Right. So if you purchase a system, it is just part of the home. It's an easy transfer. It just, you increase the amount that you're selling the home for, and it transfers over to that home. With a loan and the lease, both of those require credit score, so you will go through a credit check in order to be part of that program, and the new home buyer goes through that as well. In our viewpoint, and there are a number of studies that are out there, all three of those options will increase the value at which you can sell the home for, and increase the speed at which you can sell the home.
Yes, right.
The SRECs are transferred to the new home buyer. Should I replace my roof before I install? Depends on the length of how old the roof is. If you have something that needs to be replaced probably within the next couple of years, yeah, you should probably replace it before you have solar put on. If you have a relatively new roof, somewhere south of 15 years, depending on the type of shingle, you are pretty much safe to go, and you need to go through that. What we do, though, as I mentioned earlier, is our system designers will check the condition of the roof, and then your consultant will help you through that process. This question comes up sometimes. If I only cover a certain portion of my bill, is it still worthwhile for me to go solar? Answer is absolutely yes. Anything that you can cover based upon solar is going to be an advantage to you and it's a benefit to what we're doing. Should I oversize my system? Sometimes this is a benefit. We were talking about it yesterday, and if you have a location that is someplace close to you, you can send that excess to that location. And this one is what's the catch? Because a lot of people, when we go through it, will say, hey, this is too good to be true. You know, like, what is it? What's the catch with it? And there isn't a catch to it. This is actually something where you have a community program which has driven the price down even further, but you have a lot of incentives that makes this an ideal time for you to go solar. So the good part is that there's a catch. Oh, okay. Right before we go through, then I'll open it up to other questions. Solarize will be ends September 30th. That just means that you have to have the contract signed by the end of that. There is definitely an advantage for you. Sign up early. Quicker that you sign up, more sunlight that you're going to get for this year, and also we have that benefit of the first 20 to sign up with $500. Okay. Again, if you want to have a survey done, talk to one of the guys and they'll sign you up for that. But I'll open it up to any questions.
What about metal roofs?
The question was, what about metal roofs? We do install on pretty much every kind of metal roof now. There was a while that we weren't doing interlocking metal roofs, but standing seam and corrugated, we've done those a number of times in the past. So we can install on that, and even if you have the metal interlocking, we're now doing that as well.
I have a friend who lives in Huntington and uses your company, and he's extremely satisfied. His site is just right for this. Yes. But in our case, we live down the road here in Ashfield. About a year and a half ago, a gentleman came out, a project manager perhaps, and gave us, it was in the winter, gave us an assessment of cost and savings, the whole 9 yards. His recommendation was to get the most benefit we could was to cut down, take down a large oak. We have a south by southeast facing better. But his recommendation was to take down a large oak tree that casts shade on the house. Besides being almost part of the family, I mean, this oak tree is it would be a considerable cost to take it down. That's something he didn't want to do, but he didn't figure in the cost. I mean, he couldn't figure in the cost of taking down the tree. That's not his business.
Yep.
And in addition, we have a barn that's about 30 yards from our house. It's a 4-story barn. And he recommended putting panels on the roof of the barn. And he said that I guess what they're naming it, but he said that your company could do that. Could get up on the roof. But at the end of the day, he didn't have. I didn't feel that we had a cost us and what our savings might be. We're very interested in going solar. We don't want to take down the oak tree
Right.
and so on.
Yeah, so, I mean, everybody will have different variables and different decisions they make as you go through it. What you can do, I'm sure that Duncan would be able to talk to you a little bit more about it and have that. But some people will want to cut down the tree, they might not want to. It's just basically ultimately back to your decision on what's the best benefit for you.
No, I understand, and you mentioned that
Yes.
in some cases you need to take down trees. Yes,
And what we can do is I'm sure that we can work. Go ahead.
Is there a microconverter built into each of the panels, or is there one converter for the screen?
Hey, Duncan. You go up, you guys talk. So the question was the inverter, how that works and what we have. So there's a couple of different options of what you can do. You can have something where there is a small inverter underneath every single panel, and it's called a microinverter. And what that allows you to do is what I was talking about earlier, where if there's shade on the one panel, it just impacts that one panel. It allows those panels to run in parallel. The inversion of that electricity then happens right there at the panel, and it switches from DC over to AC. That's one option that you can do. It's one of the enhancements, and it's a little bit more expensive at the outset of what the cost is. There's also something that you can do that is a central inverter, where the central inverter is that everything runs in DC from the panels to a central location, about the size of a small refrigerator on the side of the house, and the conversion is done right there. With the central inverter, there is something that we use now that's associated with it. It's called an optimizer that allows those panels to have that same parallel experience where it's just impacting the one panel if there's shade on it. It's a little bit less expensive at the outset to do that type of inverter, but you just know that during the course of time, usually around year 15, you're going to have to replace that.
My understanding is that if you have, each panel has its own inverter, and it's hooked up in parallel,
Yep.
then you can add, if you want to add additional panels, it's very simple.
Correct.
Whereas if all the panels are hooked to one inverter, it's limited to how many panels that you can, then you have to replace the inverter when you add up. Is that true?
Correct, yes. So it is much easier to add panels when you have a microinverter.
How much more expensive is the microinverter than
It is, I'm trying to put it in percent-wise. How we explain it to you, it's 30 cents more per watt. And what it came out to yesterday on the system was close to like $1,000 more. Yeah, I would say someplace between that $1,000 and $2,000. But that's before the federal tax credit, so that increases the amount that you can get within the tax credit. So net, closer to like $1,500. Go ahead.
The roof may need to be replaced. Can you take part of the cost of the replacement and package it in the system as a tax credit? Is that a gray area? How does that work?
Yeah, that is a gray area. We don't do it.
You repeat the question?
Yes, I can repeat the question. So if you replace your roof, can you include the cost of replacing the roof into the price of what solar is, so that you can basically take the 30% federal tax credit as part of the roof? We don't include roof replacement into any of our contracts. The answer that I will tell you is to consult your tax advisor on it, and they will be the one to determine whether you can include that into it. My experience has been that a lot of people have done that in the past, and some have been told, no, they can't. to talk to the advisor.
I presently have a solar hot water on the roof now. You get this in, you have to move that, or if you put it around, you fit it around it, you think?
Yeah, so if you have a current system of solar hot water, does it still work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Jill, who was running the slides here, she has a combination system where she has solar hot water on a part of her roof, and there's a system that we installed as well on a different portion of the roof. So you don't...
Put it in the middle, build it around it, or?
Yes.
And what about if I have to move it? Is that?
If you have to move the solar hot water, that would be on you. The expense is on you for that. It's not something that we do. Because the solar hot water includes a different installation, and it's something that we don't specialize in.
Do you have these slides available as a handout for us?
Not right now, but we can send to somebody here who is involved with it, who can then email you. Or if you have an email, if you want to just give that to me, I can send it.
We might be able to put it on the website too.
Yeah, I think that would probably be best to be able to put it on the website so that everybody can see it. Does that help?
What website?
Ashfield.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Solarize.
Go ahead. Yeah, so the loan program is a 20-year loan at 5.99. You can, well, no, is to answer your question. That is what that's the years in which we have the system set up for now, but there are no prepayment penalties, so you can pay it off as quickly as you like.
Is your company equipped to work with people who want to live off the grid?
The question was, do we have the capability to work with people who want to be off the grid? Currently, no. This is, everything that we have is grid tied. And I would say that probably 95% of the systems that are installed today are grid tied with that. Now, recently there's been a lot of news discussing the use of batteries and the inclusion of that within systems, but the technology is just not there right now where it makes a lot of sense for people to include it currently. That's going to be something that could be added later to systems, but right now, no. And it's not something that we do. Yep. So the question was the durability of the warranty and all of that goes along with a microinverter compared to a central inverter. The central inverter comes with a 12-year manufacturer warranty. You can purchase an upgrade to that to include a 25-year manufacturer warranty, but you will need to replace it at some point during that time period. The microinverters are solid state. They come with a 25-year manufacturer warranty. There's no moving parts in it, so it's going to last much longer, at least twice as long as what the central inverter will. Over the course of time, like if you just ask me my honest opinion with it, over the course of time, I think that the microinverters are a much better option for you to go with for that long period of time.
Are these warranties prorated, or if they fail before the 25 years, you get replaced at no cost, or you get a prorated?
No, the question was, if you need it to be replaced within the time period, you will have that replaced. It's not going to be prorated. It won't be something. I mean, the panel will be something different because what's going to be in 5 years and 10 years from now will be at a more efficient panel than what it is today.
Using the microinverter, where is the benefit on that? I realize that one panel's not working. It doesn't shut down the whole system. How often is that happening in daily operation?
As somebody said it's for shade. But you're asking the difference between whether I would go with the microinverter or a central inverter, and the benefit of going with the microinverter. Is that what you're?
Well, so if you don't have shade,
Yeah.
It's really not going to make a whole big difference.
Right. Each system, the way that it's manufactured, regardless of whether you have shade or you don't, it's still able to function with the panels running in parallel. It just depends upon whether there's a benefit for you to be able to have solid state, the microinverter being solid state, and the conversion happening right there so that it travels in AC, or do you want to do it where it's traveling in DC and it's a central location where it's still one point of failure and the conversion happens? I don't think that there's a right or a wrong with it. They're both very good options for you to do. It just depends on, do you want to pay a little bit more at the beginning to have something that's going to last longer than the other option?
But it's more of the shade factor, not mechanical issue. So the more shade you have, the better.
Not necessarily, no. Because both of them still run in parallel right now.
Does the price that you give to the homeowner include that complete installation? It doesn't include the electrical hookup, for instance?
Yeah, so the question was, the price that you get, does that include everything? Yes, is the answer to it. One of the things that I pointed out on there that we automatically include within every system that we sell is a charge for rafter reinforcements, which typically, once a system has been agreed upon, it's the one thing that I'm not going to know until a structural engineer takes a look at it. We already included into the payment for you, so if it's not needed, we just deduct it on the back side so that you don't have to pay for it. Pretty much other than that, there might be, so let's say you have an electrical panel that's before the 1950s, that would need to be checked out. But other than that, we do not run into tack-on things afterwards. Everything is included in the price that you get. For the lighting, every system is grounded. Ground radiance? Can I answer that? Yes. Okay. We'll answer it afterwards. Elizabeth says she'll answer it afterwards. Go ahead.
For a typical Massachusetts customer, what's he saving percent of an electric bill on one of these installations?
It's hard to answer exactly what it is because it depends on which financial portion to it. I mean, how much are you saving? You could get it that it's a system and you cover 100%. I think on average we have someplace around 60 to 70% will be covered with it, of how much is actually going to be covered off of what your electricity bill is. But how much you're saving will depend upon which financial option you go with, whether it's a lease, whether it's one of the others. I mean, if it's a lease, then you're saving probably someplace around 15 to 20% off your electricity bill.
I would get S-Rec from your 5%.
Yeah, so the question was, what happens with your SRECs? So our company, the way that we do is that we offer a 5-year free brokerage account to it. So it means that we will handle those SRECs and we will sell them for free along with every other customer that we have and every SREC that we own. So we're timing the market, trying to get the best possible price for everyone involved. And it's one of those things where you know we're on the same team because when yours sell, ours sell. The question was, what happens after that first 5 years? You are given options again. If you want to, you could go, because we also offer a fixed amount for 3 years. If you wanted to just say, all right, I want to guarantee for 3 years, this is how much I'm going to get, you can sign up for that. We're going to give you those same options again at the end of that 5 years. Do you want to sign up for another 5 years free? Or do you want to go with a fixed option for 3 years, like 4 years at a time, and it'll be a different price? So we've had, in Massachusetts, we haven't been trading them for longer than 5 years. Everybody's still within that. But in Maryland, we have several customers who have been trading for longer than 5 years, and they just typically just pop right into another 5-year option for it.
I'm gonna continue with the SREC question. Because I received one of these things, which I find pretty interesting. And what I can't figure out is the jumping around with the amount.
So, why SRECs will be at different prices? There are, it's a supply and demand market.
I understand that.
Okay?
Futures 5 years from now, they're looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's somebody way smarter than me that is looking out every year beyond this to see, based upon what the requirements are of the utility companies for how much they have to purchase and what the expected amount is that it's going to be playing within the market. But yes, we're looking at that to see where the prices are going to be in those years.
How do you decide how many systems to put on versus others? Are you given a laundry list? You have this big system or this big or this big?
How to decide the system? So you'll be given a system design. So this is the maximum amount that we can put on your house, and then we fix it up with what is the utility bill, what you have at that time. So we're trying to match up the two that you are using, so that you, all right, what are the variables that you have to it? Do you just want to generate this amount? Because you could have a system that is much larger than what you need. So instead of putting 40 panels on there, that's going to be twice as much what you need. We're going to downsize the system and have 20 panels so that it matches up with what you have. There are so many variables that every single house has and the locations. A lot of what we do is actually figured out when we're sitting down with you at the kitchen table and saying, all right, this is the size system that we have. This is what's best for you. And we go with that.
What's your average?
What's that?
Average efficiency of your panels.
The average efficiency is someplace around 16%. 16?
There's a mention of 10 years.
Yep. So the question was, what happens with the SREC and why is it just for 10 years? A system will create renewable energy credits from any time that it's produced. But the current program where the value is coming to you is for the first 10 years.
Where does that come from? Is that from the utilities?
It's a program established by the community audit government resources. Currently, the not-for-profit itself is
Say how much the comparison between microinverters and optimizers.
Okay, what you just said, can you repeat it again for me?
Compare microinverters to optimizers.
So the question was to compare optimizers to the microinverters. So traditionally what it was is that you had a central inverter. Everything ran in series, or was in a string. So this comes back to the question that you asked earlier. So if you had shade on one panel within that series, or that string, it would negatively impact everything that was in that string. And it would pull it down. The microinverters came into being then because it allowed the panels to run in parallel. So if you had shade on that one panel, it just had a negative impact on that one. And all the other panels ran in parallel. A few years ago, there was a company that came out, and Solarize, very, companies run by leaps and bounds. What that allows it to do is they put these things called optimizers on the panels, and it mimics the impact of what a microinverter does. So you have that still. It runs in parallel for it. With a central inverter, you have one location, so if something goes wrong with it and there's a failure within that inverter, the whole array goes down. There's also a benefit to having power that runs in DC. There's more line loss. So associated with that. So there's an advantage to having a microinverter where it transfers over to AC right at the panel and then runs an AC to the home. The microinverter has a longer warranty. It has a longer lifespan because it is solid state, and there aren't moving parts with it. Does that help?
What are the most common size systems used? I mean, there's a common 30 kilowatt hours per day, something like that, or what size systems is that?
Okay, so the average system size that we do within the company, the way that we look at it is basically a 7 kilowatt system.
Federal credit, there's no limit to the size.
No limit to the federal tax credit size. It's uncapped.
Are the federal credits only residential or are they also commercial?
They're also commercial. Now, so the question was, is the federal tax credit, is it also commercial? Yes, is the answer to that. The renewable energy credits, the SRECs, have a different value to it. They are more valuable to you as a homeowner than it is as a commercial.
The state credit, how long does that go? Was that extended?
I don't even know when it expires.
Actually, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for the state tax credit. It's not something that we're going to throw away.
Might also mention that the net metering works differently for commercial systems.
Yes, correct. So that so we have a separate side to what we do that is only that will do commercial. So if you have a commercial location, we have someone who, from our company that will be able to help with that. The comment is very true is that the net metering side to it is a little bit different as well. It's not exactly what is associated with residential based on the system size. But I won't bore you with details or try to confuse you because I might confuse myself going through it, but it is. But yeah, it's a good question. So how do the SRECs, how does the payment come from that? It depends on how often they're sold, but it is a check that is sent to you, on average, from my experience with our company. It's about once a year, you sell them, and you send a check for them. Correct. Because you need to be an aggregator. Somebody has to sell the SRECs for you on the market. A homeowner can't go and just sell, I'm generating 4, I can't go and sell them. So what we do, and it's a huge value add for us as a company, is that we do that for you, we do it for free, and then we will just send you a check. So average system size, so let's just say it's a 5 kilowatt system and you have average site quality with it, you're going to generate roughly 5 per year. And 5 of those per year. So I'm just saying that, so an average system with an average site quality will be around what we consider getting 1,000 hours of sunlight per year on the array, which a 5 kilowatt system would then generate 5,000 kilowatts. So 5 times what we guarantee is 250. Yep. Yes, that is a understatement. I mean, the renewable energy credits are a big value to what you're getting, and you will make typically in every system more in those first couple of years off of the SREC payment than you will in the utility savings. 10.
said something about 250 guaranteed.
Right, so your options with us, if you want to do the SREC sale, is that you can do a 5-year free brokerage account, which that just means that your SRECs are bundled with everybody else, ours, and you can time the market. So Jill she does that, and I think that on her last one it was 275 or 280 that she got per SREC. We also offer a 3-year guarantee.
That's fine.
So the 3-year guarantee means that whatever you generate in a calendar year from January 1st to December 31st, let's say in the example that we used there were 5 that you generated, 5 times 250, and then we pay you in July of the following year.
I haven't heard that part before, that you had a fixed price option. So that's 3 years, 250, that's the only option there is besides the market value.
Yeah, and there is one actually that we just introduced too, where you can actually get those first 3 years, the guaranteed amount, you can get it all front-loaded in the first year.
That would be good to get that into our material somewhere.
Okay.
That's something I don't know.
Yeah, and it was, from the time that we met with you guys, it was introduced after, like a week or so after that. So it's something that's how I was telling you earlier, how our software changed, and there was an upgrade that not all of us love right now. That was part of the enhancements that were included.
What was the per unit guaranteed price? The 3 years.
It's 250.
250 a month, is that?
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, it can. It can be taken over. All right, if anybody has any other questions or you want to sign up for a site evaluation, I got some up here. But we're getting shut down anyway, so we got to end right now. But thanks for coming. If you want to talk to anybody, there are multiple people around with name tags who can help you. Thanks.